Hey, Sean here, and I wanted to take this time to talk to you about our foundation that could use a little assistance. The Wells Rugby Academy is a foundation developed and run by former Ugandan women's national team player Miss Fortunate Irakonda. She is providing children with the opportunity at a future through sports, teamwork, and leadership development. But like always, in the end, there's only but so much one person can get done on their own. So I'm asking you, take the time and click on the link in the description to see what the Wells Rugby Academy has to offer. Join the likes of York Rugby League Football Club in England, the European Rugby League, and yours truly, Sean D. James, in aiding communities with a brighter future. For more information about funding, potential partnerships, and sponsorships, Ms. Irakonda's information will be below. Thank you for your time, and now back to the show. Okay, and there we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Take Podcast with your host, Sean D. James. And I want to say thank you because today I'm blessed with the knowledge of a man who's doing wonders. So, thank you, Dr. Amir Rashidian. Correct?
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
that's perfect. Very good.
Yeah, I had a friend who had a podcast and they did a thing on names and how many people just let it slide. Like, oh, it's okay. No, it's okay. And it's like, no, your parents gave you that name for a reason. It needs to be respected.
You're right. I appreciate that.
No problem. Okay, so Dr. Amir Rashidian, you are, let's see, a doctor in chiropractic. You own your own practice, which is the Mid-Atlantic Center of Chiropractic.
Yes.
Okay, in Frederick, Maryland. A motivational speaker and the author of, let's get it. It's Cracking the Stress Secret of How to Turn Pressure into Power. That title just sounds like we're going to make you into a diamond.
That's right.
Now, the audience will hear this and they'll hear the accolades and the status. But let's start with the beginning. What got you to that point in life? Where did it all start for you?
Well, I was 9 years old, and my father and I were traveling through these remote villages in Iran. And in one village, a woman went into labor. She was in tremendous amount of pain, and no one knew how to help her. There are no doctors in this village, no hospitals, and only a midwife. So this midwife came over and examined her, and then stood up and said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. There's no heartbeat. The baby's not alive, and this woman's not going to make it." And she actually left. And at the age of 9, I was looking into the eyes of this young woman who was just told she's not going to live another few hours. And I started to have this panic attack. You've seen little kids cry. I'm having trouble catching my breath. Chest feels really tight. My heart's pounding, and tears are coming down my face. Well, my dad saw me, he picked me up, he carried me out of there, he calmed me down. The two of us climbed down the mountain. We got in our car to drive home. And on the drive home, I said, "Dad, I don't want to feel like that ever again." "Like what?" "Helpless. Like there's nothing I can do to help." And he said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" I said, "I'll go be a surgeon. I'll be the best surgeon in the whole world. I'll carry my medical bag with me everywhere I go, and I'll just save lives." And that was the plan. 10 years later, I was a student at George Washington University, and I was on track to, move on to medical school eventually. And I went home for Christmas break, and my dad had this big, thick white neck brace on, and you could tell by his eyes he was really under the influence of some serious painkillers, and he was limp and numb from the shoulders down. He couldn't lift his arms to even give me a hug to say hello. And so
Wow.
we ended up going to doctor, trying to figure out what's wrong with Dad. Every doctor we went to said, "This is way beyond my scope. You're going to have to go to this other doctor." Finally, we ended up in a neurosurgeon's office. The neurosurgeon said, "Sir, you needed surgery yesterday. You've got massive arthritis, bone spurs degeneration. The spinal canal is narrow. There's pressure on your spinal cord. And if we don't find a way to decompress, this is not going to end well. They said the surgery is going to require us to break and remove the bones in the back of your spine to take pressure off the spinal cord. And then we're going to put rods and screws in your neck to fuse your whole neck. You'll never turn your head again. You may not regain function of your hands, but we're hoping you'll have less pain. And they said there's a chance you're going to die because you're old. Now, Dad was 70 years old, but there's such a thing as a young 70 and an old 70.
Yeah.
He wasn't young. He was the older 70. He hadn't taken good care of himself. So we got in a taxi to go home after the third neurosurgeon. They all said you need surgery. We in the taxi to go home. And I'm sitting in the back of the taxi. I'm holding Dad's MRIs and X-rays and CTs and medical records. I looked over at my dad sitting next to me with his, neck brace, and he's just cringing because I can tell every bump that taxi hits is sending a lightning bolt of pain through in his bodies. And looking at his eyes, I could tell he just didn't want to live anymore. And so I start to have that same feeling I did in that village, looking at that woman slowly pass away in her husband's arms. And I'm looking at my own dad suffering exactly the same. And I started to get a little teary-eyed. Well, this taxi driver looked at Dad and I in his, rearview mirror, and he said, "Sir, I noticed you're in a lot of pain. And I know you asked me to take you home, but there's a chiropractor right down the street. Would you rather me take you there?" Now, I was a 19-year-old know-it-all. So I said, no. Dad was terrified of the surgery. So he goes, yes. So we end up in we end up at this chiropractor's office. The chiropractor said, listen, he looked at the, MRIs and X-rays that I was carrying. After studying everything, did a quick exam. He said, I can help you. He said, I'm not going to put rods and screws in your neck. I'm not going to have you on painkillers. And we're not going to do any cutting. With my hands, I'm going to adjust to take pressure off the nerves. And little by little, your body will begin to heal. And he said, it's not going to be easy. You got to be here 6 days a week for the next 6 months. Can you handle that? Dad said, whatever I got to do, I don't want the surgery. He did it. 6 months later, Dad walked in. He had full use of his hands. He could turn his head. He's out of pain completely. My dad lived another 18 years. He lived to be 88 years old. At 88, he was younger than when he was 70. He'd get up in the morning, go work out, go visit his friends. All of them are in nursing homes, but not my dad. He lived long enough to stand next to me as my best man when I got married. He lived long enough to meet my first son when he was born. And, that's what led me to want to be a chiropractor. I thought it's the most amazing thing. You get to change things on the inside of the body without cutting them open. So that's what I did. 23 years, I've been a chiropractor. We own two locations. We're a team of 3 doctors now, 15 employees, and we see well over 10,000 patients, total of 24,000 office visits annually. So very busy, very high volume, and we're just growing because I really think people need to be away from drugs and surgery.
That is amazing. It's amazing. And I want to say it's a beautiful thing. The fact that he was able to live that much longer to turn around and be there for those milestones and life events. Because it's like to hear that, sir, you might not even survive. You're not going to be able to have the full turn of your neck and this and that. Those limitations alone will just have me go, I'm 34 right now. If I was told that, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, no hospitals. I'm about to try everything I can find that's gonna be the holistic approach. Like that's my mindset there. What was the cause that put your father in that type of medical situation?
Bottom line is it's an accumulation of all the stressors in his life. And then he had been in multiple car accidents that, a lot of times you feel your neck gets a little stiff and then it goes away and you forget about it. The problem is the misalignments that occur from those accidents, they don't forget, they don't go away, they begin to degenerate. So it's kind of like a snowball effect where it's a really small snowball at the top of the mountain, but as it gets bigger and bigger near the bottom of the mountain, now it's an avalanche. So you can't ignore little things like that. I want to say one other thing when you mentioned milestones and being there for those things. I want to say something about how when you take good care of your health, most people think, oh, I'm doing it for me. The problem is you're not. You're doing it for the people who love you and care about you. because
Yes.
when my dad was sick and suffering and hurting, he was not the only one who suffered. I suffered, my mother suffered, anybody who cared about him did too. And if you take good care of your health, it's because you love your family, you love your friends, and you don't want to be a burden on them. You don't want to be left having them needing to take care of you. So it's
Mhm.
actually the most selfless thing you can do to take care of your health. The easy thing to do is you let things slide. Eat what you want, do what you want, don't exercise, don't take care of yourself. That's the easy thing. That's
Hmm.
the selfish thing. And that's going to lead to terrible places.
That is so true. At my job, I see it. You know, a lot of people they go, "Oh, it's just the pandemic." You know, I just put a little bit of weight on from the pandemic. You know, the little stomach. I'll lose it real quick, and this and that. Then you got set in that for so long, it almost became routine, a part of life. They start looking at people and you go, "Wow, I haven't seen this guy in months. He put some weight on." He's like, "Yeah, you know, it's life. I was stressed, a lot of overtime, not enough sleep."
Mm.
And I just look and go, you want me to take some of that overtime for you, help you out? I mean, you got a new baby on the way. What you gonna do here, man?
That's
So
right.
you're a father yourself. How many kids do you have?
I have three boys.
Wow. I have me and my wife, no kids, but let's see, my brother just had his baby reveal on Saturday. So now that's two brothers with one boy each, and sister with a boy. And then got the
Wow.
god kids, five over here, one here. So I'm like, oh, we're good. We're good. We'll set the nice little accounts for all the kids. We'll babysit when you need it. I'm good enough right there. So how
That's right.
has I want to say how has it been balancing the business, both with being, you know, the chiropractic, the motivational speaking, the book, fatherhood? How's all that been for you? Because you said there's a high volume with two locations.
My philosophy is you don't separate life. Life
Mhm.
is life. Everything is life. Business is life. Personal is life. Marriage is life. Parenting is life. It's all life. You try to separate it, then you have to create time and energy to put in each one. I mix it all up. So I'll bring my kids to work. So
Okay.
the older one, I'll actually put him to work. I'll say, "You're working today. Yeah, you don't have school. You're coming to work." And you can route patients. You can tell them where to go and pull people's files up and so on. But yeah, I mix it all up, and I think that's how it works. Because during the week I work long hours, uh,
Mhm.
but on the weekends I'm with the kids all day and try not to plan anything business wise, and I'm with them. But during the week, yeah, when I get home, it's pretty much close to bedtime. So I'm
Okay.
the one who takes them up, pray with them, get them to sleep, maybe read to them a little bit, spend the last hour of the day with them. In the morning, a lot of times I leave before they get out of bed. But if not, they're all into fitness. So maybe we'll all do a little workout together or something, just for fun before I leave.
Well, that's good right there. Nice family health. Keep it all around. Going good.
Yeah.
Now, you said as a child, your father would take you to villages. Where were you originally from?
I was born in Iran, and
Okay.
dad he owned a large construction company. So they
Mhm.
built his company built hospitals and government buildings and so on, large office buildings. And so every once in a while he would go to these villages and he would have a crew come out and maybe bring plumbing to the village because they didn't have any, or bring power lines or something just to
Nice.
help out. And a lot of these villages, because they were so poor, and this is kind of a disturbing fact, is if the family had boys, the boys could work the land and make some money. If they had girls, sometimes they couldn't take care of them, so they would sell their girls. So my
Wow.
dad would go over there, and when he would find families who had girls, little girls, I'm talking like 8, 9 year old girls, someone would come and buy those girls from them. So my dad would give them money. He'd say, "Listen, don't sell your daughter. And if when I come back next month, if your daughter's still here, I'll give you more money." So he basically he's trying to do his part. helping out. But that's why we'd go travel around. He did a lot of stuff for a lot of people.
Wow. That is that is amazing right there. Like it was during this time, this was what was this? This was during okay, so this was definitely after me and my wife had watched a movie recently, Argo,
Yes.
about the whole thing that took place with the embassy. So
Oh
this is
yeah, I
like this
lived
was
through
way
that.
after that then.
Um, he's not too far after, but yeah. So that was 1979 was the
Uh-huh.
revolution. So I was born in 74.
Oh
So from
wow. Okay.
74 to 79, those first 5 years, life was amazing because we're living in lap of luxury. We would travel to Europe every summer. We'd spend at least a month, sometimes 2 months, just traveling around Europe, enjoying ourselves. If you were from Iran, they would see your passport. They would move you to the front of the line, treat you like you were, royalty just because you were from Iran. And then the revolution happened and everything changed. You weren't allowed to own two homes, so the government confiscated our beach house. You're not supposed to be very wealthy. You're not supposed to. So, anyways, I mean, a couple of dad's buildings got taken away by squatters. Like just homeless people just moved into because the economy wasn't all that great at the time either, and they just moved into his buildings, and the government said, "Well, you have to give it to them." So
Wow.
then the war started. Saddam Hussein decided to invade Iran. They assumed Iran doesn't have a government. They can't possibly have an organized military. So they came in to invade Iran. So I think it was a 10-year war. Lots of bombings in the major cities in Iran. And they were sending kids to the front lines, giving them guns to fight. So that's when we decided to leave and come to the U.S.
Wow. It's like your parents did the right thing. like, like no, he's not going to be a child of war. We're giving him that future that we started out with. We're going to make sure we keep it going.
Right.
Uh, so when you came to the U.S., what was the destination?
We ended up in Los Angeles. And it was just my mother and I at first. So we're basically homeless with two suitcases and $500. You weren't allowed to take much with you. They only allowed a maximum of $500 to take with you when you leave the country.
Wow.
So, and we actually originally had three suitcases. The airline lost one of them. So, so we land here with two suitcases and $500, and we bounced around from place to place. So we ended up sharing a small apartment with another woman. She had three kids, so her and her three kids lived in one bedroom. My mother and I lived in the other bedroom, and we shared the living room and the kitchen. And that was in Thousand Oaks, California, just north of Los Angeles.
Wow. So that must have been quite the upbringing during that time period.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a big contrast from where we were and what we were doing to this. But kids are resilient. You don't really care. You're happy. My mother and I used to go door to door on weekends because she was a nanny during the week,
okay.
Monday through Friday, and then on weekends, her and I would go door to door and ask people if we could clean their house. So we clean homes on weekends to make some extra cash.
Mm. So how was the integration into the school system for you?
Yeah, I didn't speak any English, so I just sat
Oh,
in class and stared at the teacher. I couldn't tell what was going on,
wow.
but you sit there long enough, you start to learn. So basically, took about a year later, I could, understand a few things. And 2 years later, I was fluent in English, and, then I was able to do everything.
Okay, okay. So once you had that down, the mindset was, okay, I'm gonna do what I said. I'm gonna be that surgeon. And you just start hitting the books.
Oh yeah, yeah. Part of the problem is I have really bad dyslexia, so I
Oh,
can't read very well, and I didn't know I had dyslexia. I didn't find out till I was 40 years old. So I was writing my first
wow.
book, and that one's called The Stress Proof Life. So
Okay.
I'm writing that book, and I every time I try to read it to edit it, I kept falling asleep. I thought this must be an awful book. I can't even stay awake for it myself. And eventually I did some research. I found out I'm dyslexic. But I do remember, being in first grade, if the teacher would call on me to read out loud,
Hmm.
all the kids in the class were always laughing. So I never wanted to read out loud. And if it takes you a minute to read one page, it takes me 10 minutes to read the same page. I read that slow. So, but the whole time I thought I was just dumb and slow, and which meant I have to work harder. So I would stay up all night studying. I would, put in 10 times the hours that everybody else put in just to get the grades, because I knew we didn't have any money. So when the new semester would start in high school, I'd go to all my teachers. I'd say, "Ma'am, we don't have any money, but I need to get to medical school. So I need to get an A in your class. So will you help me? Tell me what I need to do to get an A." So I tell them up front. I say, and I'm really slow. So will you help me? Maybe some extra credit or something. So the teachers always enjoyed me saying that to them. So they would help me, and they would let me do an extra assignment, do an extra paper to pad the grades, so I could get some good grades, because if I didn't get a scholarship, I wasn't going to college.
Yeah. I that is a lot of work you did. Like that is to have those many obstacles, but it's like, okay, it's an obstacle, but it's there to be overcome. A lot of people will just go, it's not for me. Yeah, I'm just gonna graduate and just get a job, and I guess I'll be okay with that. I'll go work retail and I'll be okay. And it's like it shows what hard work and dedication truly get you in life.
Yeah, there's a price to pay for
Yes.
everything. And I found the number one reason. I won't say the number one reason, but one of the biggest reasons a lot of people fail to achieve that life that they dream about is
Mm-hmm.
because they're not equipped to handle the stress that they're going to face as they pursue that life. And so they say, "Oh, this is too stressful, or this is too much, or I'm too young, or I'm too old, or I'm not strong enough, or whatever it might be." And they use that as an excuse. There's a famous podcaster. He says they sell their dream. They sell their dream for the comfort. They're like, "Oh, this is taking too much time." So they sell the dream so they'll have more time. They'll sell their dream so they can have more comfort or less stress. Don't sell your dream. You go for it long enough, you stick with it, you're going to get there. I can tell you, from where I came from to where I went through, um, this is a dream life we're living in now with my boys. The things that we have, the relationships that I have, the marriage that we were able to build, all of that, it's incredibly powerful. And one of the things I do want everybody to understand is there was a time where I was working extremely hard because we were going through this growth phase in the business. This is many years ago. And my dad said, "Why are you working so hard? Aren't you worried that you're going to sacrifice your health just to get ahead in life?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I don't want to sacrifice my health." And I agree, success is worthless if you have to sacrifice your health for it. But I want to say this too. I believe health is worthless if you sacrifice your dreams, goals, and ambitions. Both are worthless on their own. If you're totally healthy, but you got nothing to show for yourself, you haven't accomplished anything, you haven't blessed anybody, you haven't served anywhere, you haven't made the world a better place by being on this planet, then your health wasn't used properly. At the same time, if you're super successful, but you're not healthy enough to enjoy it, that's a waste too. So you gotta go for both, and you can have both.
Is I feel so many people are stuck on the first part of just going, I have to just go hard. I have I'll sleep when I die. And you go, so you want to die sooner? I mean, your body needs to get healed at some point. You have to have a balance with that hard work you're doing. Otherwise, you're putting too much strain on your body, and you're not getting. It's like you said, like they're having too much stress. But the truth is, like it's not too much stress. You're just having stress in the wrong way.
Right.
Oh man, that's a good way of looking at it. That really is. So after medical school, how long did it take you to actually get your practice off the ground?
So I graduated from chiropractic school in 2000.
Okay.
2003, I opened my first office with a partner.
Hmm.
And then 2006, I opened another office. And 2020, I opened our third office. Meanwhile, in '08, I sold my half of the first office to the partner.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's like any business. You got to do the hard work in advance before you open your doors. So do the marketing. We didn't have the money to do advertising. So my wife and I again would go door to door. I was used to it because I used to do it when I was a kid with my mother. We used to ask people to clean their homes. So then we went door to door in our town here, and
Hmm.
I would just say, "Hey, I'm a chiropractor. I'm moving to town. We're going to open an office near you. I just want to get to know the neighborhood. Can you answer a few questions for me?" Some people would slam the door in our face, and some people would invite us in and bring tea, and some people would just stand at the door and answer our questions. But we met 1,000 people,
Okay.
and we wrote 1,000. We hand wrote 1,000 thank you notes and sent it out to them. And then when we opened our office, we sent them a letter saying, "Thanks to you, we were able to open our office. You were gracious. You gave us a lot of good information when we came to your door. So we want to offer you a free visit. Come on by, see the office." So they came in, and that's how we built the practice. Just blood, sweat, and tears.
I feel a lot of people have become so accustomed to the electronic era that they don't think about the power of handwritten letters anymore. To get that in mail, like you get the mail, and you just go, "What's this? Junk mail? Oh, you qualify for a pre-owned for this, trade your car in." But then a family member will send you something for the holidays, and you
Mm-hmm.
just go, "Oh wow, let me send them something back." It's a boost in the system. It just feels so good. So that was excellent marketing. That was some good marketing there. So while you was building a business, what motivated you to create the book?
Yeah, the first book was written for my patients because a lot
Okay.
of them would always say, stress is the reason I'm sick. If I didn't have so much stress, I wouldn't be sick. And I always had to explain to them, it's it's not just the stress, because you got plenty of people who have more stress than you who aren't sick, and then you got some people who have less stress than you and they are sick.
Mhm.
And so it can't be that. It's got to be more. The difference isn't the stress, it's you. You can put two people in the same situation, one of them will have a heart attack, the other won't. The situation didn't change. What's different is the person. So you got to get stronger. See, nobody gets stronger by going to the gym and lifting less weight. You only get stronger when you add weight to the bar and pick up more. And every time you challenge yourself and you can't do it at first and you keep trying, eventually you can do it. Now you're stronger. But if I go to the gym and take weight off the bar and do less, less, and less, eventually there's no weight and I can't lift that either. So I get weaker. When we reduce stress in our life, when we constantly focus on reducing stress, we're just going to get weaker. Now, a little bit of stress will make you sick. A little bit of stress will make you susceptible to injury. And that bottom line, that was what I would explain to them. So I thought I'd write this book. The first one, like I said, is called The Stress Proof Life: The Secret to Health, Wealth, and Happiness. And it's basically about putting on this stress proof vest, like a bulletproof vest, where stress will hit you. It'll probably hurt, but it's not going to kill you because you got your vest on and you basically plan for that. So I talked about something called the simple seven things you should do regularly to keep yourself healthy. Then in the next book, this next book is written more toward for entrepreneurs, career-oriented people, C-suite executives, people who want to accomplish bigger things in life. And so I changed it to 10 steps instead of seven. And so it
Okay.
includes the first seven, but it has a few more. And bottom line is the, the concept is like a prize fighter who trains for the next fight. You got to train for what's coming down the road at you, so you don't get surprised by it. So you say, I want to start my own business. Okay, well, are you ready to pull some all-nighters? Are you ready to stay up till 4 in the morning handwriting thank you notes, for example? Are you willing to take on the stress of going door to door every day in the heat of the 97-degree August sun and go knock on doors wearing a suit? Then train for that. How do you train for that? Go train your body to be okay with less sleep every once in a while. Train your mind, train your physiology, and and get ready for it. So some of those things are obviously chiropractic care is very powerful for getting the body ready for stress, because what chiropractic does is it makes your body more efficient by removing interference. Interference is anything that blocks the information flow from your brain to your organs. And so if there's a misalignment in the spine, sometimes it doesn't cause any pain, but it'll cause your blood pressure to be high, or it'll cause your lungs to not work properly, or your stomach to not work properly. And so we check and remove that interference. That's one. Another one would be early morning sun. Sunshine has UVB rays, which can have your skin convert cholesterol to vitamin D. So if people are wondering, how does the sun give you vitamin D? Actually, the sun doesn't give you vitamin D. When it hits your skin, your body converts cholesterol to vitamin D. Cholesterol is a very good thing in the body, and I know it gets a bad rep. I don't know why. Well, I have some ideas, but cholesterol is the precursor to estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, growth hormone, cortisol. Every hormone in your body is made of cholesterol. In fact, every cell in your body, if you remember cell biology back in the day, the cell membrane is made of the lipid bilayer. Those are triglycerides, which is cholesterol. And so if you hit me with a bat on my shoulder and give me a big giant bruise, my liver will start to produce cholesterol so I can repair the cell membrane of all those cells that just got damaged. And when it's repaired, my cholesterol will go back down. So cholesterol is something that constantly fluctuates, and checking it once a year doesn't tell you the picture of exactly where your cholesterol is. So anyways, sunshine. Another one is toxicity. When toxins are high in the body, cholesterol tends to be higher because the body's under stress. You're removing toxins from the body. The other one would be feeding your deficiencies. If you're deficient in a mineral or a vitamin or an enzyme or a coenzyme, you should be supplementing with those things. Another one is exercise. As little as 3 minutes of exercise a day is powerful. If you want to do short exercises, Dr. Zach Bush did a video called the 4-minute workout. Look it up on YouTube. It'll benefit you. I like to go lift weights in the gym, but before I do in the mornings, I always do some spinal exercises. Takes me about 17 minutes. I haven't missed a day in over 12 years. And that's what I do first thing before my coffee, before my quiet time. I do those exercises every single morning. Music is very powerful. You've seen people who are old and frail. You have been to a wedding. They sit at the back table. They all got their walkers next to them. But this one song comes on and they get up on their feet. They start dancing. You go, I didn't think they could dance. I didn't think they could even stand on their own. But music can enliven people. That's why athletes will use music to get in the zone. Because if you can think of a time in your life where you felt invincible, play the song that was playing on the radio back then, you'll feel that again. You can make yourself healthy and young with music. Exhale is the most powerful part of breathing, because inhale is fight or flight. Exhale is rest and repair. So if you scare me, I'm going to take a big gasp and breathe in. When I realize everything's okay, I do a slow exhale. They call it a sigh of relief. So if you just make sure that once a day, maybe twice a day, you take 10 breaths, where you breathe in for a count of 10 and exhale for a count of 20, you will instantly increase your tolerance to stress and be able to handle stress much better. So inhale for a count of 5, exhale for a count of 10, 10 breaths twice a day. In fact, in my book, I talk about how that can make you lose weight. Then sleep is a powerful thing. It's not how long. Seems to be a little controversial because people go, oh, you got to sleep 8 hours every night. That's not true. You got to sleep deep every night. So it's how much deep sleep you get that makes you recover. And so you have to make sure your body's in the right environment to sleep deeply. And we can certainly talk about that. Well, the last step, I just went over 9 of them. The last of the 10 is you got to surround yourself with the right people, because they
Yes.
will help you. You will feed off of energy. Watch these podcasts right here. Hang with Sean right here. I'm telling you, when you listen to these things, when you talk about success, it's just going in your ear. Trust me, it's doing things in your body. People hang around sick people, get sick. People hang around healthy people, get healthy. That's a fact. Dr. Dean Ornish did lots of research on this. He said if you want to reverse heart disease, hang around good people, go for a walk every day, and eat lots of vegetables. Literally, he's the only doctor on the planet that has reversed heart disease. Well, they'll do an MRI and they'll show the plaquing in the arteries got reduced.
Wow. About us 3 simple things like that. it's, it's like people go, nah, it's too simple. It can't be true. It has to be more to it. It's like some things in life are that simple.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny when you said the music and deep sleep, because I always like to combine both. So I work nights. So I come home during the day and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put this deep meditation music on. I'm going to put the handpan music on. I don't even know how I got to handpan music. All I know is I heard it and I went, that is soothing. Next I know, I'm just on a yoga mat and I'm knocked out asleep. Wake up 4 hours later, I'm like, how long was I asleep for? Oh man, this is like, I feel wonderful. I'm good to go. I'm ready to go. I like you said, like some people, they're not ready for that. That
Right.
type of no sleep. And they're just like, oh, I can't go long hours. I have to get my sleep. And it's like, how well do you actually know your body? How far have you actually pushed your body to that limit to where you actually know how much sleep you really need, how much you don't need? Being that I work nights and my wife works days, on my back-to-back days off, I end up syncing up to her schedule. And the next, I go to work the next day and they're like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I didn't sleep. I was up on her schedule. So now I'm by the time I get off work and I know I'm not gonna go back to sleep, I might be at 28 hours, maybe 32 hours straight. And they'll go, how are you doing that? I'm like, I've done it so many times now, I'm kind of just getting used to it. But I know when I go to sleep, I'm gonna sleep between 7 to 12 hours. And then my body will be feeling so wonderful. Next, I'm gonna go do laundry, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do dishes. Hey, do you think I'll go to the store? It's 2 in the morning. ShopRite's 24/7. Costco's closed. I'm gonna go there. Okay, sure, go get some groceries. It's like you truly need to learn how your body reacts. I feel people rely on the doctors so much, and then like you said, you can't just check your cholesterol and these certain tests, blood tests, and it's like, okay, you're good to go. Well, bring that down. I'll see you in 6 months. And you're like, okay. Next, it's like, oh, you lose weight. Okay. Then you hit a plateau. And it's like, well, did you change your diet? Did you exercise? This and that? It's like, well, yeah, I did all that. How's work going? Oh, I've been doing some overtime. And next, it's like, oh, you need to take off for overtime. Yeah, well, the economy's in a certain way. I need the cash, inflation, this and that. I live in Jersey, so it's a difference.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
people,
yeah.
they then it's like, well, that's when people I feel start having that mindset of, I'm going to go to a holistic approach because you know what? I don't want to be on medication. I see how my grandparents are, maybe my parents, and it's like, I don't want to do the medication route. But then you have doctors who just say, no, I think it'd be best for you. And if I have a doctor that says, no, you need to take it without us having maybe a different approach, I don't think you're the right doctor for me. This will be my last visit. And I'm going to go on Cigna through my insurance and go find another doctor that has a better, reviews here.
Yeah.
Tell me, how has the pandemic affected your business? Because I mean, you said you opened a second location right in 2020. So
Yeah. So we had signed the lease on a new office space, and then everything shut down. So because we signed the lease, we had to follow through and do it. It turned out to be a good thing. One of the most powerful blessings we got was the state and the federal government deemed chiropractic as essential. So until then, chiropractors were not essential, but because of the pandemic, they said we're essential. In fact, a lot of hospitals and urgent care centers were saying, unless if you have aches and pains, don't come in here because you'll get sick. Go to chiropractors. So it was actually very good for us. At first, it was tough because nobody wanted to leave their house. But once things started to open back up and people were leaving their homes, chiropractic became popular, and we've been doing well.
Well, that was a blessing indeed.
That's right.
Is there any plans on expansion anytime soon?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we have parameters and benchmarks. As soon as we hit those, we'll open our third office. The hardest thing is finding good chiropractors to join our team. So if anybody's listening, you're a chiropractor, contact me, midatlanticclinic.com. But that's it. We find the right chiropractors. We'll keep opening offices. Our brand is very unique. We're very successful at helping patients. We work on traditional chiropractic principles and philosophies, which is if I get you healthy enough, then you're less likely to get sick, less likely to get injured. And the goal is to stay that way. So our 4-phase process is feel better, get stronger, live longer, feel younger. And you have to do that in that order. So first you come in, we get you feeling better. Then our focus is let's get you stronger, because how healthy you are is determined by how much stress you can safely handle. So let's get you to be the kind of person who can handle a lot of stress without getting sick. Then we work on longevity principles, how to live longer. And then the last phase, how do we make sure you're always feeling younger?
Gotcha. I would say this is most likely one of the things that people have to get you for every time. If they say, hey, we need a motivational speaker, we need somebody's going to keep our workforce feeling healthy. What can you do for us? I want to know what. Okay, so you say you plan on doing expansion. What brought you though to Frederick? Is Frederick, Maryland, correct?
That's right.
What brought you there as the catalyst for starting a business?
Well, the first office we opened, we did it in Woodbine, Maryland, which is horse country. It's a really small, tiny town, 4,000 population. Wow. And there wasn't, when we opened it, there was a tiny little grocery store, and like a little restaurant, and another doctor who was a primary care doctor, and us. And then the town started to grow a little bit. But my philosophy was, if I go in a small town with very few people, word of mouth is going to travel much faster because everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
So we literally had people on horsebacks come up to the office, tie up their horse, and come in and get their treatments. And then as the town started to change a little bit, like within the next 2-3 years, I noticed a lot of my patients were coming from Frederick. So I thought that's probably the place we should open our next office, because that's where everybody's coming from. And so that's what we did. We opened there because we already had a base of people that could come with us over to that office. And that was when we went door to door and did everything else again. So that's how I ended up in Frederick. Frederick's a beautiful town. It's small. It's 65,000 population. Very historic. The downtown area, the Market Street, was at one point the top 5 best downtowns in America, just because it's so quaint and nice to walk down the street and look at all the shops, amazing restaurants. Top Chef did an episode there at one of the restaurants. There was a competition there, and so anyways, lots of good food and lots of good restaurants. Nice place.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you wasn't sold on his bedside manner and his staff and the way he runs things, the town alone is going to bring you in. Oh, man. Okay, so I have a question for you I wanted to ask, and it was, what do you believe? Let's see, what was it at? Okay, what do you believe have been the 3 keys to the success in your business and in life, if they're different?
Um, okay. So first off, you need to know what your values are.
Mm-hmm.
What do you stand for? What do you fall for? I believe it was Martin Luther King who said, if you don't know uh, what you would stand for, you'll fall for anything.
Yes.
Something to that effect. Another person said, you need to know what you're willing to die for. So you have to have certain values, and you stick to those values. These are things you don't compromise. And so for me, God, family, and health, and then career are priorities. And so my focus is, how do I honor God, glorify Him in the things that I do? How do I serve people lovingly and joyfully? And how do I constantly build lasting relationships? Because business is about building relationships. So the
Yes.
relationships have to be important. And it's not so much the relationship with you and your customer or your client, your patient. It's your relationship with your coworkers, your relationship with your employees. And then my another one is, how do I build something that outlasts me? Because eventually I'm gonna go, I'm gonna die and be gone. But what I build hopefully will continue to serve, continue to live out. And that's what business is. You can build a business that continues to do the things you want it to do. So those are the things I would stand on and focus on. So that would be one, is core values. Another one is, in business, I believe you have to have, we call it the culture of reverse accountability. So most employers will hold their employees accountable. And I say, no, you hold me accountable. Because if you're my employee, you're here because of me. Hold me accountable to provide you with a safe environment where you can thrive. Tell me what you need. I am accountable for you, not the other way around, which is very different than how the world is run today. The third one is, we build a culture of, we have what's called an upside down org chart. So most org charts, you got the guy at the top, right? You got the executives underneath them. Then you got the upper management, the middle management, the customer service reps, and the customers are all the way at the bottom. Well, we flip that thing upside down. I should say right side up. So I'm at the bottom of that pyramid, and the people I serve are above me, which is my managers and leadership team. And then above that is the people who are directly serving the clients and customers and patients, and above them is the patients. And so this thing grows this way, not downward but upward, and it expands as it goes up. So it's the exact same pyramid, the organization chart that most companies have, but it's upside down. The people on the bottom serve the people on top.
Man, that right there is why a lot of businesses fail, and why you have such, people say, toxic work environments or the work culture, because everybody their phrase is, it rolls downhill. And it's like, why is it that way? And it's like, they're like, hey man, I don't make the big bucks, that's not my job, it's not my title, I don't have to do with that. But then you'll have meetings, they're like, hey, we got to be accountable to one another. And you look at the jobs and you go, yeah, work culture is bad. This is why people leave jobs. But I could see from the way you have the culture set up, your staff has to be like, yeah, it's no point in me leaving. Why would I leave? Money can only do so much in life. I can say, I'm going to get paid this much more. It's like, okay, I'm getting this here. I leave. If I leave Amir, I'm going to make this much more. But then what is the work environment going to be like?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone. Okay, then you know what? It's not worth it. I'm putting myself in a bad environment, and that's mentally and emotionally not gonna be worth it. So kudos to you and your staff for just having that. I want to say a family. I feel like it's almost like your family there. It has
Yeah.
to be that.
It definitely is, and again, we go against the grain because everybody says the customer is always right.
Mm-hmm.
Serve the customer, and I always say, no, 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 no. My employees are always right. I know who they are. I selected them myself. I put them where they are. I know they're right. So if a customer accuses my employees of something, I usually back my employee and say, listen, I don't think my employee would have said that or done that. And then at the same side, my employees are smart enough to go, hey doc, I think I did make a mistake on that. And if they own it, then that's different. Then we'll work together to make things right. But I never let an employee get bullied by one of my patients or clients.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an example of leadership. Oh, okay. I want to be respectful of your time. We're coming up close to the hour. I want to know, is there any plans in the future for another book or anything else that you have, anything you want to plug in? Like a YouTube or anything like that?
Sure. We do have a great YouTube channel. It's called Real Chiropractic. So a lot of this information is on there. A lot of health related things are up there. You mentioned weight loss. We have a great video called 7 Simple Secrets to Weight Loss that no one will tell you because they don't cost money. So if you're interested in nice, easy, cost-effective weight loss plan, take a look at that. I think it's a 2-hour video, but we have short videos too on the YouTube channel. My office website is midatlanticclinic.com. My personal website is drrashidian.com. And obviously my latest book was #1 bestseller in 4 or 5 different categories. It was #1 new release when it came out in October. And you can find that on the website. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It should be everywhere. And plans for another book. Every time I finish a book, I say, that's it. I'm done. I put everything I knew into this book, but then something else comes up. And so I've started working on a type of devotional book to help people understand just faith a little better.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, quick question. Speaking of faith, how has that been a part of with the community? Has that been something that's been like integrated within the business itself? Because I remember seeing said he was a part of the I cannot remember. It said you were a part of the leadership of a faith.
I'm an elder at our church, Grace
Okay.
Community Church. It all started on November 25th, 1995. I was going through some rough times in my life, and I decided I was going to pray to God. And at the end of praying, asking God what I want, I said, God, do you hear me every time I call out to you? And as soon as I said that, the phone rang. And it was my mother. She said, we're at Nancy's house doing a Bible study, and suddenly Nancy said she wants to talk to you. So Nancy gets on the phone, and she didn't even say hi. She said, Amir, I just got to tell you, every time you call out to God, he hears you. And she got off the phone just as fast. And ever since then, I've just been a believer that every time you call out to God, he hears you. I asked a direct question, do you hear me? And the phone rings. She goes, he heard you. So since then, I'm just, everything I do, God is first.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you for your time. It has been a pleasure talking with you. I will make sure to put the links into the show description once I'm in post edit here.
All right.
And honestly, I wish nothing but the best for you. Hopefully, we get to talk to you again in the future.
Absolutely.
And I want to say, from everything I've heard in this interview, I can tell that your business is going to be a pillar of your community. Hands down. It sounds like it is like already established, the roots are there. And over time, that tree's going to grow. It's going to branch, it's going to come out, and it's going to be this, everybody come under my learning tree, come under the shade, relax, get the body right, and let's grow together. So
sounds great.
Thank you, Amir. Ladies and gentlemen,
My pleasure.
this was Dr. Amir Rashidian. Got it? Okay.
Got it.
And this has been, let's see, the 3rd interview for the Take Podcast, the 2nd for this year, and more to come. So as always, I'd like to say enjoy yourself, enjoy the day, and stay prosperous. Peace. Have a good one, Amir.
You too.
Thanks. You know, they say we have a housing shortage going on right now. Not just here in America, but all around the world. And they say the issue is shortages, from labor to supplies to buyers. But one company has chosen to put themselves at the forefront of being a solution to that problem. And that company is Boxable. Boxable is a Las Vegas, Nevada based company that specializes in prefab modular homes with a twist. And that twist is innovation. You see, they've taken the assembly line model and applied it to their 170,000 square foot factory. This has allowed them to develop the Casita. The Casita is Boxable's first modular design. This unit is a 375 square foot, 20 by 20, water, bug, and mold resistant, fire retardant, and high winds. Oh, it can withstand high winds. Full kitchen, full bathroom, and wheelchair accessible dwelling unit. Now, all that sounds good, but what makes it really stand out? You said they do an assembly line, man. Okay, cool. Okay. What makes it really stand out? Well, this is where the innovation comes into play. Because your 20 by 20 dwelling unit is foldable. And when I say foldable, I mean just that. It folds down to an 8.5 wide by 12 foot tall, easy and efficient shipping unit. This is what innovation looks and sounds like. Not only that, but upon delivery, it can be set up and ready to go within an hour. Yes, an hour. No more of those, you know what, I think I want an attachment to the house. Maybe we should get an ADU. We could use an additional dwelling unit. Make a little extra money with, Airbnb, Verbo, or just put it online. Hey, we have a housing unit available. Well, with Boxable, that's a possibility now. So, the question here is, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and see what the future looks like for renters and home buyers alike. Because with a modular unit, prefab homes, the possibilities are always endless.